So today we're going to be taking a look at the 15-minute extended gameplay reveal for Hell Is Us. This is a atmospheric story-driven action adventure game set to release in 2025. It's going to be on PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. Now, I saw this game at the September State of Play, and it was one of the ones that actually caught my attention. The environment looked interesting, the combat looked engaging, so whenever Rogue Studios and PlayStation released a 15-minute gameplay breakdown, I took a second to see what to expect from the game. Video includes a look at combat, exploration, and very little story details. So the story of Hell Is Us takes place in a war-torn country called Hadia, where you play as Remy, an orphan peacekeeper who returns to his homeland searching for answers after being smuggled out of the country at the age of 5. Hadia is a turtle state and has been isolated for years, and now it's filled with mysteries and ancient forces that have awakened. The area showcased was a grim, foresty area where, even though the sun was out, the atmosphere was very foggy, it was raining, and there were even certain points where the main character passed by some graves, which, from the looks of it, may have been a privilege because not everybody in the area was able to make it 6 feet deep. When Remy returns to his homeland, the only clues that he has about the area or about his parents is that his home village, or his birth village, was called Jova, and his father was the blacksmith of Jova. Armed with those clues, Remy aims to find a way back to shed some light on his past. And one of the things that were reiterated during this video multiple times was the philosophy and the inspiration from 90s games. Apparently the dev team is made up of people with 20+ years experience and wanted to craft a project that reflected the gameplay aspects of the early 90s designs. So like whenever you're seeing this gameplay, you'll notice that there is literally no HUD at all. They said the reason behind this choice is because they wanted people to explore the area same way that they had to back in the 90s, because there were no objective markers or things just basically pointing you in the right direction. Everything from the visuals to the sound design is crafted to aid in exploration, and instead of compasses or mini maps, you actually have to pay attention when NPCs speak and pay close attention to your environment as you navigate the area. In the mission that they showcased, they had an NPC that told the character to rely on the sound of wind chimes that were hung in the local village in order to find their way to a gate that leads to an open area.
Once in the woods, follow the wind chimes. They will lead the way through.
Another gameplay aspect I found interesting about this game during the breakdown were their puzzles. In this game, you'll have to rely on a drone called Cappy, which helps you decode ancient texts and provide tools to unlock secrets. And even in puzzles, going back to the 90s game style approach, there are no hints. So no companion highlighting things. The character doesn't speak hints to themselves and to the player. You're just going to have to investigate and figure it out. This kind of reminds me of Dragon's Dogma 2, where instead of telling you to go to this specific area or just highlighting objectives in certain case scenarios, sometimes you have to like explore and find a nearby cave that has an item that you need in order to, complete somebody else's quest. Now, I know to this point, all I've really talked about is exploration, puzzles. You might think this is a walking simulator, but it's not. Apparently, this game is split up 50-50 between intense combat and puzzles / exploration, things of that nature. And combat wise, they let us know up front, this is not Souls-like, which is kind of funny because nowadays, anytime any game comes out, especially if it's an RPG, if there's any sort of like encounter that requires you to dodge or parry or something like that, for some reason, there's like this association that this has got to be a Souls-like game. I don't know where that came from. Hell Is Us is described as a mid-core hack and slash type of game. You're going to face a variety of enemies, from the more common enemies that are called hollow walkers, which come in a variety of styles, to the dangerous dual entities. Combat here isn't as punishing as a Soulsborne game like Dark Souls or Elden Ring, but it's still all challenging. You'll need to master a combination of different weapon types, Cappy's drone abilities, Remy's special abilities, and strategic use of the environment in order to defeat these enemies. The last interesting tidbit I kind of want to touch on is the inclusion of dungeons in this game. These areas house ancient atmospheric locations that are tied to the deep lore of the game, adds an extra layer of mystery, and are described as remnants of the old world that are full of secrets that need to be uncovered. The fact that this game takes place in '93 and these areas are dungeons that have ancient like mythology incorporated in them. Kind of reminds me of Assassin's Creed games where you would go to like a tomb or something like that, and where everything outside of the tomb was like what you would expect for the time period. But when you went into the dungeon, or in their case, the tomb, or whatever special sectioned off area, there would be tidbits of like lore regarding like ancient artifacts, like the Apple of Eve or whatever it was called. It's been a minute since I played Assassin's Creed. Overall, though, I will say this game has my attention. The only real gripe that I had with watching this playthrough is the dialogue style. Kind of reminds me of like Skyrim slash like Starfield, basically the Bethesda games approach where you're just like straightforward talking to a person. You get a select amount of responses that give you specific answers. Now, I don't know if these kind of like change the outcome of a quest or, you know, affect the environment or something like that, but it'll be interesting to see. Aside from that, the graphics look good. And I'm not saying this is about to be game of the year or anything, but it's something to keep your eye out on. What are your thoughts? Let me know down in the comment section.